Her perfume lingered in the bedroom, but her wedding ring was gone from the nightstand. That's when I knew she wasn't just working late, she was living a lie. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe to Revenge Forge for more unforgettable stories that speak to the heart. I'm Jamie Ellison, 39, a senior account manager at a financial consulting firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. My life was a polished ledger, secure, prosperous, damn near perfect. My wife Lindsay, 32, was a spark, quick-witted, with a smile that could close any deal, and a presence that turned heads. We met 8 years ago at a networking event in Durham. I was crunching numbers for clients. She was pitching marketing strategies, her charisma a magnet. By the end of the night, we were sharing whiskey at a rooftop bar, trading stories about bad investments and better dreams. 2 years later, we married on a Carolina beach, her vows whispered against the waves, promising a lifetime of trust. Our loft in North Hills was our haven. Sleek marble counters, tall windows, a balcony where we'd sip coffee and plan our future. I earned $180,000 a year managing portfolios for a firm pulling in $90 million annually. Lindsay was our client relations lead, her charm sealing contracts with banks and startups alike. We were a powerhouse, me the numbers behind the wealth, her the spark that sold it. Weekends were for kayaking on the Neuse River, hitting breweries in Wake Forest, or just us tangled in bed sketching plans for a lake house in Cary. But even the best books have errors. It started small, like a misplaced decimal. 6 months ago, Lindsay suggested a weekend escape to Charleston, South Carolina. Just us, Jamie, she said, her blue eyes glinting over a glass of Pinot Noir. Let's find that fire again. I was all in. Work had been brutal and our schedules were a marathon. A romantic trip felt like a reset. I booked flights, reserved a historic inn by the Battery, and splurged on a private carriage tour. Lindsay handled the details, or so she claimed. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? The first twist hit at the Raleigh-Durham airport. As we checked in, Lindsay's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled, and said, "Oh, my friends are joining us." Friends? My jaw tightened. What friends? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She laughed, tossing her blonde hair back. "You know Tara, Claire, and Jenna. They've been begging for a girls' trip, and I thought it'd be fun to mix it up." My chest sank. This was our getaway. But I swallowed the frustration. Lindsay was outgoing, she thrived on her circle. I didn't want to be the controlling husband. So I nodded, forced a grin, and boarded the plane. In Charleston, the vibe shifted. Tara, Claire, and Jenna were waiting at baggage claim, all hugs and chatter. They were friendly enough, but their energy was sharp. Tara, a PR consultant with a biting wit, smirked at me. "Jamie, you actually left your spreadsheets. Lindsay said you're married to them." The others giggled. I brushed it off, but it stung. Lindsay didn't correct her. She just linked arms with Jenna and strutted toward the exit, leaving me to haul the luggage. At the inn, the second twist landed like a sucker punch. The clerk handed out keys, 3 rooms, 4 women, and me. "Mr. Ellison, you're in room 108, she said. I blinked. And my wife Lindsay cut in all breezy. "I'm rooming with Tara and Claire, babe. Girls' night vibe, you know. You'll love the quiet." "Quiet alone." Jenna smirked, muttering, "Hope you don't snore, Jamie." The group laughed, and Lindsay didn't even glance my way. I felt like an outsider in my own marriage. That night, alone in my room, I stared at the ceiling, the hum of Charleston's nightlife mocking me. Was this a Reddit story I'd stumbled into? Or was I overthinking? Lindsay's friends had always been part of our life, but this was different. Their jabs weren't playful, they were pointed. And Lindsay, she was distant, her warmth reserved for them. I scrolled through my phone, the knot in my gut tightening. Doubt was creeping in and trust was fraying. The next morning, over breakfast at a cobblestone cafe, the third twist hit. Claire waved her phone, showing photos from a rooftop bar they'd hit after I'd gone to bed. Lindsay was in every shot, radiant, her arm around a guy I didn't recognize. "Who's that?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Lindsay glanced at the photo and shrugged. "Just some friend of Tara's. No big deal." But her eyes flicked away and Claire's smirk grew. I didn't push, not yet. I knew from online forums that confronting without evidence was a losing game. By day 2, the pattern was clear. Lindsay and her friends treated me like an afterthought. They planned oyster roasts, art gallery tours, and late-night bars, all charged to my card. I'd agreed to cover our trip, but now I was footing the bill for 5. My banking app showed $2,600 in charges, restaurants, drinks, even a boutique necklace Lindsay bought with Jenna. She hadn't asked. She hadn't even mentioned it. The fourth twist came that evening on the carriage tour I'd booked for us. I'd envisioned Lindsay and me nestled under a blanket, rekindling our spark. Instead, I was cramped with her friends who barely acknowledged me. Lindsay sat across from me, but her focus was on Tara, whispering and laughing. Then I saw a text notification on her phone face up on her lap. From Vince. Miss you already? Last night was unreal. My heart stopped. Last night, when she was at that rooftop bar, I glanced at Lindsay, but she didn't notice. She was too busy giggling with Claire. I didn't sleep. At 3 a.m., I checked our joint credit card account. The charges weren't just from Charleston. There were dinners and Raleigh hotel stays I didn't know about, and a $400 payment to V. Radley via PayPal. Vince Radley? My mind raced. Was this an affair or something else? I checked Lindsay's Instagram stories from her client dinners. The locations matched the charges. And in one blurry background, I spotted him, Vince, the guy from Claire's photo, leaning close to my wife. The fifth twist was my breaking point. The next day, Lindsay announced they were extending the trip 2 days. We're having so much fun, Jamie. You're cool with it, right? Her tone was sweet, but her eyes were cold. Tara smirked. Yeah, don't be a buzzkill, Jamie. I looked at Lindsay, waiting for her to stand up for me. She didn't. That's when I knew this wasn't just a ruined getaway. It was betrayal. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I walked away, pulled out my phone, and froze every credit card in my name. Then I called the inn and canceled all pending charges for their rooms. If Lindsay wanted to play this game, she'd play without my money. By noon, I got a frantic text from her, Jamie. The cards declined, fix it. I didn't reply. I was done being her bank. The Charleston sun blazed hotter that afternoon, or maybe it was the fire in my veins. I sat in a cafe across from the inn, nursing an iced coffee, watching the drama unfold. Lindsay's texts escalated, confused, then desperate, then furious. Jamie, this isn't funny. The inn's holding our stuff. Where are you? I stayed silent. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing to clean up her mess. This wasn't just a getaway gone wrong, it was the start of a reckoning. By 2 p.m. I saw them. Lindsay, Tara, Claire, and Jenna spilling out of the inn's lobby, gestures wild. Tara was on her phone, likely scrambling to fix the declined cards. Lindsay's face was flushed, her usual poise replaced by panic. Good. Let her feel the ground shift. I'd spent years building our life, funding her dreams, believing in her love. Now I was done playing the fool. I wasn't cruel, though. I hadn't touched our joint savings or her personal accounts. She had enough to survive if she could manage. But the credit cards, those were mine, and I wasn't bankrolling her friend's party while she texted Vince about their unreal nights. That text, miss you already. Last night was unreal, gnawed at me. Who was he? How long had this been going on? I needed answers, but not from her. Not yet. I opened my laptop and dug deeper. Our bank's transaction history painted a trail of lies. A $300 dinner at a Raleigh steakhouse 4 weeks ago when she'd claimed a team meeting. A $200 spa charge 3 months back on a weekend she'd said she was visiting her mom. And that $400 payment to Vince. It wasn't a one-time thing. Smaller payments, $50, $75, stretched back 6 months. My hands trembled as I saved everything. This wasn't just a fleeting affair, it was a calculated double life. I checked our shared iCloud synced to our home tablet. I'd never snooped before, never had a reason. Now I entered her password, our anniversary, painfully ironic. Her photo backups loaded, and there he was. Vince, smirking in a selfie with Lindsay at a rooftop lounge, her head tilted against his shoulder. Another shot, them laughing at a jazz club, her hand on his arm. The dates matched the charges. My throat tightened. This wasn't just a suspicion, it was a betrayal laid bare. The sixth twist came when I found their messages. Not the full thread, Lindsay wasn't that careless, but enough. A screenshot of a text from Vince Charleston's perfect. Tell Jamie it's a girls' trip, he'll eat it up. My blood froze. She'd orchestrated this, invited her friends as a cover, used me as a wallet while she played lover with him. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a heist of my trust. I could have confronted her then, stormed across the street, shown her the screenshots, demanded the truth. But anger doesn't win in a game like this. Strategy does. I closed my laptop, paid for my coffee, and walked to an ATM. I withdrew $1,000 in cash for me, not her. A buffer. Then I called my brother Nate, a lawyer in Greensboro. "Jamie, what's wrong?" he asked, sensing my tone. I laid it out: the trip, the text, the charges. Vince. He didn't flinch. "Lock everything down. Change passwords, secure your accounts, and don't let her spin this. I'll draft a separation agreement today." Nate's words steadied me. I wasn't just a husband in a Reddit story. I was a man reclaiming his life. I spent the next hour fortifying my digital world, new passwords for my email, bank, and investment accounts. I even removed Lindsay's access to our home security system. If she wanted back into our Raleigh loft, she'd have to face me first. By evening, the seventh twist hit. I got a call from an unknown number. "Jamie, it's Jenna." Lindsay's friend, the quiet one who hadn't mocked me as much. Her voice was unsteady. I didn't know it was this bad. "Lindsay's freaking out. The inn's holding our bags and Tara and Claire bailed on her." I feel terrible. I thought it was just a fun trip. I stayed silent, letting her talk. "She's been off, talking about some guy, Vince. I didn't think it was serious, but now... I'm sorry, Jamie. You didn't deserve this." Jenna's confession wasn't redemption, but it was clarity. Even her friends saw Lindsay's game. "Thanks for telling me," I said, keeping my tone even. "What's she doing now?" Jenna sighed. "She's trying to call her sister, but she's not answering. She's stuck." I ended the call, my mind racing. Lindsay's sister Ellen was a wild card who'd never warmed to me. If Lindsay was desperate enough to call her, she was out of options. I didn't return to the inn. Instead, I checked into a small hotel a mile away, paid in cash. My phone buzzed with voicemails from Lindsay 456. I didn't listen. Not because I couldn't handle it, but because I needed to stay focused. This wasn't just a moment of weakness, it was a war for my self-respect. The next morning, Jamie sat in his hotel room, the Charleston harbor glinting outside, his resolve hardening. Lindsay's betrayal wasn't just a personal wound, it was a calculated strike. But he wasn't down yet. He had one move left before he decided his next step, and it started with finding out who Vince Radley really was. The Charleston harbor shimmered under the morning sun as I sat in my hotel room, Jenna's confession echoing in my head. My wife Lindsay wasn't just cheating, she'd built a secret life with Vince Radley, turning our getaway into a stage for her deception. The loft we'd crafted, the vows we'd sworn, the future we'd planned, it was all a facade. I poured a black coffee at sharp edge, honing my focus, and opened my laptop. The back door to our firm's financial database glowed like a loaded weapon. One command could lock every client portfolio, every contract, leaving Lindsay and Vince with nothing to exploit. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. I needed to expose every thread of their plot: Jenna, Vince, Lindsay, and whoever else was pulling strings. I called Tara at 6 a.m., her voice crisp despite the hour. "Jenna spilled," I said, keeping my tone low. "Lindsay's been planning this with Vince. I need more his role, his leverage, any other players." Tara didn't hesitate. "Got it, Jamie. Give me 48 hours. While she dug, I reached out to Claire, a former analyst at our firm who'd left 2 years ago after Lindsay outmaneuvered her for a key account. Claire was 36, all brains and no tolerance for deceit. We met at a diner near King Street, the smell of grits and bacon thick. I handed her a USB drive with Tara's initial evidence photos of Lindsay and Vince PayPal payments to V. Radley, texts tying him to the affair. "They're not just sneaking around," I said. "They're up to something bigger. I need to know what." Claire's eyes narrowed as she scanned the files. "Lindsay's always been a shark," she said, her voice low. "She pushed me out when I flagged her expense reports. But Vince, that's a new depth." "There's more," I said. "They're using firm resources. I found charges on my card, $2,600 in Charleston alone. I think they're skimming or worse." Claire leaned back, her coffee cooling. "I've got a contact in your firm's compliance team. Let me dig." By noon, Claire texted back, "Vince wasn't just a fling. He was a senior consultant at our firm, hired 8 months ago, and had been working closely with Lindsay on high-value client pitches. They were pitching a new portfolio management model, my model, the one I'd spent years refining, to a rival firm in Atlanta, Pinnacle Advisors, for $3 million. The meeting was set for tomorrow at the Ritz-Carlton Buckhead. But Claire's contact dropped a twist. Vince was working a side deal. If Pinnacle passed, he had a backup buyer, a private wealth group in Charlotte, ready to pay $2.5 million, no questions asked. Lindsay was in the dark about it. Vince was double-crossing her. I dove into Vince's digital trail using the back door to access his firm email. His security was weak default passwords, no encryption. I found a thread with a name I didn't expect: Ellen Harper, 43, our chief compliance officer. She'd always been meticulous, all audits and no warmth. But her emails to Vince were cold and calculated. Keep Ellison out. Pinnacle's the target, but Charlotte's our fallback. Lindsay's too soft, she'll buckle. Vince's reply: got it, Ellen. She's on a leash. Ellen. The compliance officer in on the heist. My pulse hammered. This wasn't just an affair or a theft. It was a corporate conspiracy. I forwarded the emails to Claire, who cursed over the phone. Ellen's been shady forever, she said. She's got her hands in every audit. This is her cash out. What's her endgame, I asked, pacing the hotel room, the harbor, a steady hum outside. Money, Claire said. She's got a side hustle, real estate deals gone sour. Selling your model clears her debts and pads her exit. I needed more. I called Tara. Look into Ellen Harper, chief compliance officer. She's working with Vince and Lindsay. Tara whistled. This is a swamp, Jamie. I'll need time. Make it quick, I said. They're pitching tomorrow. That night, Lindsay's texts shifted from anger to desperation. Jamie, please. I'm stuck. The inn's holding my stuff and I don't know what to do. I didn't reply. She tried calling 4 times, then 6. I let it go to voicemail. Back in Raleigh, if she'd returned, she'd find the locks changed, a precaution I'd taken with Nate's advice. She'd have to face the consequences of her choices. I didn't sleep. I worked tightening the tracking script I'd planted. Every email, every file Lindsay and Vince touched, I saw. By 4 a.m., I had their pitch deck, my portfolio model, dressed up with Lindsay's visuals and Vince's spin. They'd even mocked up a new brand, Radley Wealth Strategies. My work, their name. Then, Tara called, her voice tense. Got something on Ellen. She's not just in on it, she's been skimming from the firm for years. $500,000 funneled to a shell account in the Bahamas. Vince is her front, but Lindsay's clueless about the scale. I gripped my desk, the harbor, a steady hum outside. What about Jenna? She's deeper than you thought, Tara said. She's been feeding Ellen intel on your accounts. Emails show she's getting a 6% cut of the Charlotte deal. But here's the twist, she's also been talking to a lawyer, planning to leak the deal to regulators if Vince and Lindsay don't pay her more. Jenna, not just a bystander, but a schemer. My stomach churned, but I pushed it down. Send me everything, I said. Tara did. And there it was, Jenna's emails to a lawyer outlining a plan to expose the deal for a bigger payout. She wasn't just along for the ride, she was playing them all. I met Claire at her hotel, a quaint spot with gas lanterns and cobblestone paths. Jenna's planning to screw them over, I said, showing her the emails. She's working with Ellen, but she's got her own exit. Claire's jaw tightened. Your wife's friend is a piece of work. What's the plan? We don't lock the system, I said. We expose them at Pinnacle's meeting, all of them. The next morning, I flew to Atlanta, Claire at my side. Lindsay stayed in Charleston, likely scrambling to fix her mess. She thought I was in Raleigh, buried in numbers. The Ritz-Carlton Buckhead was all marble and city buzz, the kind of place Lindsay thrived in. She'd arrived in Atlanta, her navy dress catching every glance, her smile a weapon. Vince stood beside her, his suit sharp, his grin smug. Ellen was there too, her presence understated but commanding, her eyes scanning the room. The Pinnacle exec's 3 suits with cold stares sat at a polished table sipping coffee. I slipped in, Claire blending into the crowd of advisors. We'd hacked the guest list, posing as consultants. Lindsay's pitch was flawless. Our model redefines wealth management, secure, scalable hours. Vince chimed in, all charm. With your partnership, we'll dominate the Southeast. My model, their lies. I stood, my voice slicing through the hum. Before you sign, you should know the truth. Lindsay's eyes locked on mine, her face paling. Vince's smile faltered. Ellen's hand froze on her tablet. Jamie, Lindsay said, her voice tight. This isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up, emails between Lindsay, Vince, and Ellen plotting to sell my model. Bank records of Ellen's $500,000 theft. Jenna's texts tying her to the scheme. And a wire transfer Jenna to Ellen, $8,000 labeled consulting fee. The room went silent. One of the Pinnacle execs, a woman with a sharp bob, leaned forward. Explain this, Miss Ellison. Lindsay stammered, her charm crumbling. It's a misunderstanding. Jamie's upset. Personal issues. No, I said, my voice steel. You stole my work. Ellen's been skimming $500,000. Vince is your front man, And Jenna, she's planning to leak this deal to regulators for a bigger cut. Vince tried to interrupt. This is absurd. Absurd, I cut in, clicking to the next slide. Jenna's lawyer emails Ellen's Bahamas account. You built your pitch on my model. You're done. The exec with the bob stood her face hard. We don't deal with frauds. She nodded to her team and they walked out their coffee untouched. Lindsay's eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. Vince grabbed his jacket, muttering excuses. Ellen slipped out, her composure cracking. I didn't stay to gloat. I walked out, Claire behind me, the Atlanta heat heavy on my skin. But there was one more twist. As I reached my car, Jenna was waiting, her face pale, her hands shaking. Jamie, we need to talk. You're out of chances, I said, my voice cold. It's not what you think, she said, her voice breaking. Ellen forced me. She's got dirt on me, bad loans, a failed startup. I didn't want to hurt you. I stared at her, the friend who'd stood by Lindsay, the woman who'd sold me out. You chose this, I said. Own it. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Jamie, please. Stay away, I said, getting into my car. As I drove off, my phone buzzed. Tara, Ellen's making a move. She's meeting the Charlotte buyer tomorrow. Lindsay's out, but Jenna's going with her. The game wasn't over. They weren't done. Neither was I. The Atlanta heat clung to my skin as I drove away from Jenna's trembling silhouette, her pleas fading into the city's hum. My wife, Lindsay, Vince, Radley, Ellen, Harper, even Jenna, they'd spun a web of deceit to steal my work, my trust, my life. But I wasn't trapped. I was Jamie Ellison, and I'd turned their lies into a forge that shaped something unbreakable. Tara's text about Ellen's meeting with the Charlotte buyer with Jenna in tow was a flare in the storm. They thought they could outrun me, but I was tightening the net. Back in Raleigh, I holed up in my loft, the skyline, a silent witness through the windows. My laptop glowed, the backdoor code to our firm's financial database, a silent weapon I hadn't fired. One command could freeze every portfolio, every client contract, leaving Ellen and Jenna with nothing to sell. But I wanted more than a blackout. I wanted truth, sharp and unyielding, to shatter their scheme. I called Tara at 5 a.m., her voice steady despite the hour. Ellen's meeting the Charlotte buyer tonight, I said. Some outfit called Sterling Wealth. Jenna's with her. I need the where, the when, and their pitch. On it, Tara said. Sterling's known for snapping up stolen models. I'll have something by noon. While she worked, I met Claire at a coffee shop in 5 Points, the smell of espresso and pastries grounding me. I showed her Tara's latest file, Ellen's Bahamas account. Jenna's double-cross plan, the Charlotte deal. They've cut Lindsay out, I said. Ellen's calling the shots now. Claire's eyes narrowed, her mug pausing mid-sip. Lindsay's out, that's ruthless. What's the play? We don't lock the system, I said, my voice firm. We expose them to Sterling. If they lose this, they're done. Claire grinned fierce. You're a steel blade, Ellison. I'm in. Tara came through by 11 a.m., texting a location, a private lounge in Charlotte's Uptown District, 7 p.m. Ellen and Jenna were pitching my portfolio model as their own, promising Sterling a clean product for $2.5 million. But Tara had more. Ellen's desperate, she said over the phone. She's been dodging creditors. That $500,000 she skimmed half, went to settle her real estate debts, the rest to Sterling as a deposit. If this deal fails, she's ruined. And Jenna, I asked, my jaw tight. She's in deep, Tara said. Ellen's got her on a leash, threatened to expose her failed startup if she doesn't play ball. But she's still scheming. She's got a burner phone texting a whistleblower about the deal. Jenna always scheming to betray her betrayers. I didn't feel sympathy, just resolve. I called Owen, a former IT specialist at our firm, pushed out by Ellen for flagging compliance issues. Owen was 38, tech-savvy, with a grudge to match. We met at his apartment, a cluttered space with servers and coffee cans. I showed him the evidence, Ellen's accounts, Jenna's text, the Charlotte pitch. I need you to help me end this, I said. Owen's eyes glinted. Ellen trashed my career, I'm all in. We moved fast. Owen hacked into Ellen's cloud drive, pulling the final pitch deck, my portfolio model rebranded with Jenna's name slapped on it. Claire secured us access to the lounge, leveraging a contact from her freelance days. By 5 p.m., we were on the road to Charlotte, the city's lights pulsing ahead. I wore a suit, my laptop tucked under my arm. Claire and Owen flanked me. Our faces set the Carolina air warm as we arrived. The Uptown Charlotte lounge was all sleek wood and city views, a haven for wealth managers. Ellen was there, her blazer sharp, her smile calculated. Jenna stood beside her, her eyes darting, her posture tense. The Sterling execs, 2 men in crisp suits, their gazes predatory, sat at a corner table sipping whiskey. Lindsay was gone, erased like a bad trade. Ellen's pitch was polished, her voice steady. Our model is unmatched, secure, scalable, ready for market. Jenna nodded, playing the loyal partner, her grin forced. They showcased my model, my late nights, my work dressed up as their victory. I stood, my voice cutting through the buzz. Before you buy, gentlemen, you should know the truth. Ellen's eyes locked on mine, her face paling. Jenna froze, her glass trembling. The Sterling execs raised their eyebrows, intrigued. Jamie, Ellen said, her voice tight but calm. This is a private meeting. Not anymore, I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up, emails between Ellen and Jenna plotting to sell my model. Bank records of Ellen's $500,000 theft. Jenna's burner phone texts planning her whistleblower leak. And my portfolio logs timestamped proving every concept was mine. The room went quiet, the air heavy. One of the Sterling execs, a man with a salt and pepper beard, leaned forward. This true, Miss Harper? Ellen stammered, her poise cracking. It's a misunderstanding. Jamie's disgruntled. Personal issues. No, I said, my voice steel. You stole my work. Skimmed $500,000 from our firm. Jenna's playing you, planning to leak this deal to regulators for a bigger cut. Jenna's face went white. Jamie, you're wrong. Am I? I cut in, clicking to the next slide. Her whistleblower text clear as day. The Sterling execs exchanged glances, their faces hardening. Ellen tried to salvage it, her voice rising. This is a setup. Jamie's sabotaging us. Sabotaging, I snapped, my tone cold. You built your pitch on my model. You're done. The salt and pepper exec stood, his voice low. We don't deal with liars. He nodded to his partner, and they walked out, their whiskey untouched. Ellen's shoulders slumped, her empire crumbling. Jenna grabbed her purse, muttering, You'll regret this, Jamie. But her voice was weak, defeated. I didn't linger. I walked out, Claire and Owen behind me, the Charlotte night warm and salty. Back in Raleigh, I found Lindsay's things gone, her closet bare. A note on the kitchen island. I'm sorry, Jamie. I lost myself. I tore it up, the pieces falling like ash. But there was one more twist. The next morning, Tara called. Ellen's running, she said. She's liquidating firm assets, trying to disappear. But Jenna, she's flipped. She's talking to the board, offering to testify against Ellen for immunity. I leaned back, the Raleigh skyline steady outside. Jenna, always the survivor, throwing Ellen under the bus to save herself. I didn't call her. I didn't need her version of the truth. Instead, I met Claire and Owen at the coffee shop, the smell of espresso grounding me. Ellen's done, I said, showing them Tara's latest file. She's selling off firm assets to cover her tracks. Claire grinned, fierce. Then we stop her. For good. We didn't freeze the system. We went public. Owen leaked our evidence to the board, the press even dropping snippets on Reddit stories where finance pros tore into Ellen's scheme. The story exploded, trending as a cautionary tale of corporate greed undone. Ellen was fired by noon, her reputation in tatters. Jenna vanished, likely dodging her debts. Lindsay surfaced in Durham, working a low-level sales job, her charm no match for her ruined name. The firm survived. Claire and I rebuilt, bringing Owen on as our new tech lead. We launched a new portfolio model, my work at its core, no backdoors needed. My salary stayed at $180,000, but the firm's revenue climbed to $100 million, my legacy secure. But the story didn't end there. A week later, I got a call from Nate, my brother. You need to see this, he said, his voice tense. He sent me a link, a local news article about a whistleblower exposing a financial scam at a Charlotte bank. The whistleblower, Lindsay. She'd turned on Vince, providing evidence of his side deals to regulators. The article didn't name her outright, but the details were unmistakable: her role at our firm, her connection to Vince, her sudden move to Durham. Vince was facing an investigation, his career imploding. I sat back, the Raleigh skyline fading into dusk. Lindsay playing the hero to save herself. Was it remorse? A last-ditch effort to rewrite her story? I didn't know and I didn't care. But it wasn't over. That night I got an email from an anonymous sender, same style as the ones I'd received before, no name, just numbers. Inside was a single document, a lease for an apartment in Durham signed by Lindsay under her maiden name, dated 2 weeks ago. A new secret, a new life. My stomach churned. She wasn't done running. I called Tara. Lindsay's got another apartment, I said, forwarding the lease. Find out what she's hiding. Tara was on it, but she had another twist. Vince isn't just under investigation, she said. He's been meeting with Ellen. They're planning a comeback, some offshore deal using your old model. They think you're out of moves. I laughed a bitter sound. Vince and Ellen still scheming, thinking they could outsmart me. I didn't freeze the system this time either. I called Nate, who'd been working on a counter-strategy. File a fraud suit, I said, against Vince and Ellen. Use everything, emails, bank records, the works. Nate was already drafting, his voice steady. We'll bury them, he said. The next day I met with a new contact, a journalist named Sarah, who'd been following the firm's scandal. I gave her the evidence anonymized, letting her run with the story. By evening it was everywhere. Local firm rocked by fraud allegations with Vince and Ellen's names front and center. Social media lit up, finance pros on Reddit stories calling it a masterclass in betrayal. I stayed out of it, letting the truth do the work. But Lindsay's apartment gnawed at me. Tara came through 2 days later, her voice grim. It's not just an apartment, she said. Lindsay's been meeting with a divorce lawyer there. She's planning to file Jamie. And she's got a new angle, claiming you were emotionally distant, that you drove her to Vince. She's building a case for alimony. I gripped my phone, the Raleigh skyline a blur. Lindsay rewriting history to paint me as the villain. I thought about our nights on the balcony, her laughter, our plans for a lake house. Had it all been a lie? Or had I missed something buried in my work that pushed her away? I pushed the thought aside. Her choices weren't my fault. I met Nate at his office, the custody papers ready. We file first, he said. You've got enough, her affair, the theft, the secret apartment. We'll protect your assets, keep you clean. I nodded, signing the forms, my hand steady. This wasn't about revenge. It was about survival. The next twist came unexpectedly. I was at a brewery in Wake Forest meeting a client when Lindsay walked in. She froze, seeing me, her face pale. She was alone, her dress simple, her eyes tired. For a second I saw the woman I'd married, the one who danced with me barefoot on the beach. Then I saw Vince's texts, Ellen's emails, the lease. The moment passed. She approached, her voice soft. Jamie, can we talk? I didn't move. You've said enough, I said, my tone cold. I know about Durham, the lawyer, the lies you're spinning. Her eyes widened, but she didn't deny it. I'm sorry, she said, tears welling. I got lost, Jamie. Vince, he made me feel seen. But I know I hurt you. Can we try again for us? I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, and felt nothing. There is no us, I said. You chose him. You chose this. Go back to Durham, Lindsay. Start over. But not with me. I walked out, leaving her standing there, the brewery's hum swallowing her sobs. The legal battle was swift. Nate filed the divorce papers, citing Lindsay's infidelity and financial misconduct. The evidence, Marcus's videos, Tara's files, the lease, was overwhelming. Lindsay didn't fight hard. Her lawyer pushed for alimony, but the judge saw through her claims. I kept the loft, my accounts, my life. Lindsay got nothing but her freedom. Vince and Ellen's fraud suit dragged on, but the damage was done. Their reputations were shredded, their offshore deal dead. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. I focused on rebuilding. Claire and Owen stayed on, helping me launch a new portfolio model that outshone the old. The firm's revenue hit $110 million, my name synonymous with integrity. Months later, I stood on my balcony, the Raleigh skyline shimmering under a clear sky. My phone buzzed, a client praising our new model. I smiled, not for the money, but for the man I'd become. Lindsay's affair. Jenna's betrayal. Ellen's greed, they'd tried to break me. But I'd forged something stronger. So what would you have done? Exposed them like I did, or walked away, letting their lies fester? Sometimes I wonder if I should have let go sooner, spared my heart the scars. Or did I build something greater by fighting back? What do you think? You're here because this story meant something. Don't scroll away without leaving a like, a thought, and your subscription. Revenge Forge is where real stories find their voice, and yours.